All right, welcome, Buff fans. I am Brian Howell, and joined by Nikki Edwards from the CU Sports Report on the Rivals Network. And Nikki, you and I are we're gonna hope to not get pummeled by some rain here. I mean, it is that time of year that it could happen.
Yeah, Colorado weather, you don't know what you're going to expect. Same with this football team, since we're here talking about them today. But luckily, the football gods and whoever's up there has been protecting us from inclement weather for, I think, the time we're going to be talking together.
Yeah. Expert analysis right there. So, you and I just came from Lindsay's Deli. We got to give a shout out to Lindsay, and great sandwiches there. I just Googled best deli in Boulder. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion, but I thought it was pretty good. And what do you think?
We got a sweet potato soup sample, and it was honestly delicious. I didn't get the soup today. I got the chipotle chicken salad. Great sandwich, great flavors, and complimentary pickle. So I would rate it I want to say a 7 out of 10 in terms of sandwiches, which I am honestly an expert in.
Yeah. I am a sandwich connoisseur as well. I'd give it a 7.5 to 8.
Okay.
So I think it was a pretty good spot.
Me and you are thinking the same on the sandwich.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we're gonna not gonna give sandwich reviews too much on this one, but we're gonna talk some CU football, and we were talking like what topics should we hit, and really we just kind of go with whatever here because we could do this again later this summer, and we have a couple months to prepare. So let's just kind of start off with there's so many newcomers on this team. I mean, the whole team's gonna be new, basically, except for Marvin Ham walked by before we did this. So one of the old guys, but a lot of newcomers, and 42 scholarship guys are gonna be brand new this summer that we haven't even met yet, unless we've done some, phone calls with them. But a lot of newcomers, obviously. What are your thoughts on the way this roster's been put together?
Oh, it's pretty miraculous. I think, as you know, like you've been in this, this beat a lot longer than I have, but I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before. Yeah. One position group I'm so excited for is the secondary. I talked to Jaquez Robinson during the offseason, and I asked him what he thought about the secondary, the expectations for it, and he said, I think that we're going to be the best in the Pac-12, and for some reason, just the pickups they've had on Marion Cooper, Travis J, Vito Tisdale, I think there's a lot of SEC guys, including Jaquez Robinson, that could really bolster the secondary, especially with the expertise of Charles Kelly. They're going to be versatile. They're going to have a lot of depth, and I think they're going to be pretty dangerous going into this season. And same with the wide receiver group. So many of those guys are new. We haven't seen Xavier Weaver yet, but when you're bringing in a receiver who is leading in receiving yards and scoring, that's pretty promising. A lot of these guys that they brought in have really good resumes, and I like what they brought in at the D-line too. We saw almost all of those guys go, and we were curious how they would kind of reconfigure that line group. And they brought in a lot of guys there too, good size. And now it's just, these months are going to be really crucial in putting all those pieces together. Yeah,
for sure. And both those first two spots you mentioned obviously include Travis Hunter, and we don't know how much he's going to play at either one, but wherever he is at, he adds excitement to both of those spots, and really kind of how much he plays depends on how much some of those other guys play, and how much we see a Kindrich Breedlove, a Marion Cooper, things like that, because does Travis play full-time at corner and full-time receiver, part-time at both? We don't really know, but he's obviously one of the most exciting players in the country, and so I guess we'll just go there. I mean, he's been posting some videos of workouts. Imagine you've seen some of those. We've watched some of those, but man, the guy is impressive.
Yeah, and I think his NIL is quite impressive too. He's kind of a famous figure. Same with Shador amongst the college football group. He's really built quite a brand for himself. But I think the way he carries himself too is just he's super focused on football. The NIL is kind of secondary. He's really focused on football, his craft, and just to dominate. I think that's the one quote we got from him most of the spring was that he's going to dominate and show up, and he's going to be such a vital piece on both sides of the ball, and I'm interested to see how they balance him in the fall. And I think these are all things that are coming, but I think for the summer they're going to focus him more on wide receiver and incrementally get him back at cornerback, because we've heard that he's pretty natural at the position at cornerback, and now if he gets that offensive mindset mixed with that defensive mindset, oh boy, he is going to be dangerous. Yeah,
he's obviously the buff that probably people are most excited. The other one could be Shador. I mean, those are the two, right? The people are most excited about. It's probably either or. But as far as these 42 newcomers this summer, Shador and Travis are old buffs now. I mean, they've been here for a few months. Is there any one player that's coming in this summer that you're most excited to see?
I think I mentioned Xavier Weaver. Like we're with Montana Lomonius Craig leaving. They needed a kind of supplementary figure, and I think he's going to be that really reliable pass catcher. And I think that entire receiving room as a whole, like there's going to be so much depth there. Also, we cannot forget Cormani McLean. I wonder if he's going to have a starting role in such a deep, as I said, like secondary. I wonder how he's going to grow into the college system, like where he's going to be at, because a lot of times in college football we see freshmen really stepping up into those roles and being those prominent figures. I mean, we saw it with Jordan Tyson last year. So, I think it's all about next man up and who earns the job, and I wonder what number he's going to have, right?
Yeah.
Seven's taken.
Right. Seven's taken. I imagine he's going to be on the field a lot. We're going to find out, obviously as we get closer to fall. But I'm excited about a lot of the guys on defense. You mentioned the secondary, but all those Florida State guys as well. At linebacker and defensive line, edge. Derek McLennan on the edge, Brendan Gant, guys like that. But I think the two guys I'm most excited for are the running backs. I've always been a running back guy. Cavossier Smoke and Alton McCaskill. Smoke coming from Kentucky, McCaskill from Houston. I actually really like Hankerson and Edwards.
Yeah.
But then you add in these two veteran guys that have both rushed for a lot of yards, and I think this running back group, even though it's only 4 deep on the scholarship side, every time I say that, people remind me of Charlie Offerdahl. I know he's there. I'm just talking about scholarship guys, but I love this running back group and those two guys in particular.
I completely agree. When they got McCaskill, I was like, I was like, yes, because they needed a running back and another running back with all the departures that they had, and McCaskill had such an impressive, showing his freshman year, All ACC Rookie of the Year, 961 yards, 16 touchdowns, and I think I wrote about this the other day, just like who's going to have the biggest immediate impact coming this fall, and I put McCaskill because I feel like he's really hungry to get back on the field and show what he can do. Since being hurt, I talked to Chance Main too, like being hurt for a year, like you really realize your love for the game and like how much you want to play. So I think he's going to be really hungry to have like a really awesome showing and show what he can do at even at a young age. Like he's a sophomore, but he plays like an upperclassman. And
the one thing that I guess helps CU is that he's coming back from the injury, but he did go through some spring with Houston, so he's been on the field a little bit. So it's been over a year since he tore that ACL. It's not the same as like a Jordan Tyson who's no longer here, but like he tore it in November, and you kind of wonder what his status is. Alton McCaskill should be just fine, we hope. But that group is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and so I'm excited about it. And I mean the playmakers on this team. You mentioned the 16 touchdowns. CU had trouble scoring 16 touchdowns as a team last year. Now, I'm not expecting Alton McCaskill to score 16 in 1 year here. If he does, that's fantastic, but you can't expect that. But there's no question that they're going to score more and be a better offense.
I wrote that too. It was like, how has this? The question was, how has this roster upgraded? And I was like, well, they'll be able to score touchdowns, and that's an upgrade in itself.
Right.
We see, the ability and just like natural talent of Shedeur Sanders, which I don't think this university has had like a quarterback that hasn't had red flags in a while. We see, I think the instability of last year kind of set the precedent of what CU needed this next year, and it's Shedeur Sanders. They need someone consistent, experienced, can put the ball where he needs to, can put it down far, and I think with a reliable quarterback, I mean, the play starts at quarterback, and having a guy who can have multiple options, but also just have that natural ability to perform and execute and actually get a completion. Like that's all we're looking for.
Right. Yeah. Just get completions. I mean that in itself has been difficult for this team. One of my favorite stats around this team is Shedeur Sanders threw 40 touchdown passes last year. The Colorado quarterbacks have thrown 20 in the last 2 years combined. So, I mean, and again, not that I can't expect Shedeur to throw 40 this year, but he's going to be better and a major upgrade.
Yeah, I think amongst the Pac-12 too, you need to have a versatile quarterback, can use his legs, can use his arms. It's kind of has that multifaceted aspect about him, and I think Shedeur Sanders will definitely be a vital piece, especially with the weapons around him. Like it's just it's so complementary on multiple aspects of the offense. I think one thing I'm curious about is the offensive line is bringing in a lot of these JUCO, like G5 guys up, and how they're going to adapt, because we didn't see any offensive linemen earn their numbers over the spring. I think it might be, a precedent or like a standard that Bill O'Boyle set, but, I think just seeing that and the way that he spoke about the offensive line room, like he said that their strength and their physicality needs to come along, and I think that'll come along in the summer. But with Shedeur Sanders, with the talent that he has, great, but will the offensive line be able to protect him against those guys coming around the end?
Yeah, and I do know that group is hungry, and that's no pun intended because they're offensive linemen. But, I mean, there's a lot of guys that have something to prove, you know. There's the 2 returning starters in Tank and Van Wells that have both been here, but most of these guys have not played Power 5 football. And you have Jack Bailey, Savion Washington coming from Kent State along with their coaches that, you know, they've been starters. They know this system. You have Reggie Young that was not a starter last year at Liberty but had some health things, and that guy has 1 year left. And when I talked to him, he's like, I am not here to sit. I'm here because I have 1 year left. This is the best place for me. And so you have a lot of guys like that you know, I'm curious to see how this group comes together. You got to find the 5 best, but like they've got a lot of options to choose from, a lot of experience. Just where does it all fit in?
Yeah. I'm curious about your opinion in picking up another backup quarterback in the transfer portal or putting Staub in that position.
Yeah, I think they need another quarterback just because, if nothing else, I think 3 is a very small number to go into a season with. And Colton Allen's there again. When we say these numbers, I talk about, you know, scholarship, and Colton Allen's a walk-on.
Don't forget about the walk-ons.
Yeah, but you want 4 scholarship quarterbacks, I think, at least 4. So I think they need another one. Staub, I think very well. If he's the best guy and he wins that job, then great. But I still think you want, you know, even if Staub's the guy, your third guy is Kaysen Weissman that is just getting here, and that's tough for a freshman. I don't care how good he is. Well, I do care how good he is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a phenomenal player, you can do it. But like a lot of freshman quarterbacks cannot really get here in the summer and be ready to play. And so I think you want a third ready to play quarterback. And, you know, Staub to me can be ready to play, but you kind of want that third guy.
Yeah. You know, if, you know, God forbid anything, you know, as we saw last year, like nothing is guaranteed in the quarterback room. Like injuries happen. It's, you know, an unfortunate reality of the game. But with 4 capable running backs, you rely on the run game.
Yeah.
I'm also too. I think another concern as the months have passed, as recruiting has happened, as we're picking up guys, what's going to happen with the tight ends, and is Louis Passarello going to be the number 1 guy? Like he has good size to block, and I think we saw like some short passes, some short catches from him in the spring game. I think the one concerning thing is just his lack of experience just from last season, and he wasn't really in that rotation very much. So I think I'm curious to learn more about him and what the coaches see in him, and if I think they need to pick up another experienced tight end.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they need another one. That group is so raw, you know, and they've all been here. I mean, that's the one group, like, there's some groups like receiver is completely new. You know, quarterback's almost completely, well, it is completely new scholarship-wise. Tight end is like completely returning guys. You know, there's only 3 of them, but I think Louis Passarello did a great job of taking advantage of Caleb Fourier not being out there this spring. I think Fourier's got the most talent, but we've got to see where he's at with his foot injury. I think if he is healthy, he's the guy, but then Passarello really took advantage of it this spring. And then you have Eric Olson there, you know, who's, you know, was the top recruit in the class a couple years ago. So there's some talent there, but you do want one other guy.
Yeah. And since I am thinking about concerning things, I think just one thing that I saw in the spring game that was really concerning was special teams. Yeah. If you have 2 block kicks in a game and you bring it back for a full return, like that is so concerning to me. Yeah. And I think, you know, more practice makes perfect, but I think you need more flexibility in that leg and a little bit more length. And I'm hoping Mata can really grow a little bit and develop and you know, make those 40-yard kicks. Like there's been plenty of time, you know, the game's coming down to a kick and, you know, you're 40 yards out, maybe even 50 yards out. Like you need to be confident in your ability to get it down there. Like it's something that we overlook, but I think the special teams unit has a lot to prove at the moment just from what we've seen from the spring game.
Yeah, and part of that too, obviously, is they got to figure out the coverage part of it, you know, the blocking scheme. Yeah. You know, Mata was automatic, you know, last year at Jackson State. So, you know, there's a lot more we can get into, you know, later this summer. But, you know, I think that's probably good for this one. We were able to avoid the rain. So, anything else you want to
add? Just excited for that CU schedule. They're both on the primetime Saturday slot. Yeah. Exciting to see CU getting that. You know, I mean, recognition, of course, this whole program has been getting national recognition, but It's gonna be kicked off in a really big way this fall.
Yeah. I guess we'll go there because one last thing. There's been a lot of people that have. Some people have been upset about 10 a.m. kickoff here.
As a college student,
yeah,
I understand. The concern of waking up early and pre-gaming and getting ready for the game and tailgating and all of that. If you're a committed CU fan, you will do it regardless of the time. I woke up at 6 a.m. on my graduation and I started then. If you have an important event to go to and you really want to get to it, you'll find out a way to, flip around your schedule. I understand it's early. It is early, but we'll all be there to support the Buffs, I think.
Yeah, my theory is, number one, it's really good for Colorado to be in that time slot.
Yeah.
And number two, those of you that like to tailgate and all that, you've got 3 months to plan that and figure out your schedule. Get the day off from the night off from work the previous night, whatever you got to do. You have 3 months to figure it out. People will figure it out. I think it'll be just fine. I still think the students are going to show up. It's the first home game for Deion Sanders. It's an event. People love an event, and it's a football game. I get it. It's an event. People are going to be here.
What game are you most excited for?
Well, I think Nebraska. I think that's pretty obvious. But TCU as well. I mean, I would probably say TCU, I guess, because I just want to see this team. The spring game was a cool event, but even Coach Sanders said it during the spring ball. He's like, just because you're going against your own group, he goes, that one side might not be very good, so you look good. Mm-hmm. And so we want to see what they look like against a real team.
Yeah. It's like, I think we even saw it like last year too. Like we went to the spring and we're like, all right, like there's some like positive elements of this team, but we didn't know that was going to be the result. Like you can only have so much kind of thorough analysis of your team when they're going up against each other. Like you need to face a different team that you don't know their scheme, you don't know what they're going to do. So yeah, we'll see.
It's obvious that any confidence that this offense gained last year in preseason was gained from going against an absolutely horrible defense. Yep. And so, and whatever confidence the defense came from going against a really bad offense. And so I'll ask you real quick, what's the game you're most anticipating?
Oh, man. I mean, I would say TCU, Nebraska, too. I think USC. is an interesting one. But also, I don't think we give Utah enough credit most of the time because, USC is like LA, so flashy, blah, Caleb Williams, Heisman, which all fair points. Fair points. I think USC's ability, their offense is so versatile. Caleb Williams, of course, he won the Heisman. Like, he's proven that he can have a completion under any scenario, under pressure, regardless. So I'm curious to see how that secondary responds to them. I think that's going to be a good matchup. And Cam Rising coming back all those quarterbacks are returning. Utah, but if I were to say from a fan perspective, I would say Nebraska because I don't think I've ever fully been invested in a Nebraska game.
Right.
And I think from a football standpoint, USC.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll add one other one and I know a lot of CU fans don't like this game. I'm anticipating CSU coming here. I like the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
I love it.
And I love that it's back on campus. This is the first time in forever it's been on campus. I'm glad it's here in Boulder. Saturday night, 8:00, for CSU. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, we're going to obviously talk about all those games as we get closer to the season and all that. But let's wrap this up and get out of here before any rain comes.
I honestly just felt a raindrop on
my head. You did? Okay, we got to get out of here. Yeah, we got to get out of here then. So, Nikki, it was good seeing you. We don't have a whole lot of reason to come up here in the summer, but to do this. So it's nice seeing you, and we'll see you later on this summer.
Can I drop my at Nikki Edwards, and I KKI Edwards with 3 S's. And then my header is the Patrick holding the binoculars.
There you go. Awesome. Check her out. Check me out, and we'll see you guys later.